It's a new era, but unfortunately the same pain as the Mavericks fall on the road to the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll break it all next. Break it all. We'll talk about it next on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
It's broken enough.
We're broken.
Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Curlin, and Mr. Fourth and Long himself, Jesse Holly. We are DLLS Mavs, covering your favorite team, even when they lose again. New era, same pain as the Mavericks fall, unfortunately, tonight. 118-116 on the road to the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll break it all down over the next hour here on DLLS Sports. A little bit later on in our show, we'll have our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, joining us, as well as we are just a couple of days away from the NBA trade deadline. Things heating up across the association. We'll get to him a little bit later on. But the Mavericks fall to 26-25 on the season, 12-15 on the road, despite having 6 guys in double figures, including Kyrie Irving, who had 34 points in 41 minutes tonight. Max Christie making his Mavericks debut. A strong one for him, going for 15 points, 4-4.
Christie Nation, rise up.
That's right. He went 4-4 from downtown, but unfortunately, Tyrese Maxey and the returning Joel Embiid, Bobby Curlin, were just too much for the Mavericks tonight. Tyrese Maxey with 33 points, Joel Embiid with 29 points, including the go-ahead bucket, as the Sixers had 4 guys in double figures. Gentlemen, a tough start for a team that has been going through a lot over the last few days. A win would have really been nice on the road, but unfortunately, that was not the case tonight as the Mavericks fall to Philadelphia.
Yeah, you said Bobby's name.
But I'll go.
I'll take the
You
wrong.
did say Bobby. You did
That
say
was in
Bobby.
reference
I'll pull
to,
a Najee and just I'll call my own number here. All right? Yeah, it was tough, man. I mean, they had Kessler Edwards guarding Embiid. Like, Max Christie kept getting sealed by Guerschon Yabusele. Like, the Mavs were no AD, no PJ. Daniel Gafford got hurt down the stretch, and that doomed them on a couple plays in the last couple minutes. They were really, really small, and they had to do a lot of pretty exotic stuff, either that or play Kyler Kelly against Joel freaking Embiid.
And that wasn't happening.
Yeah, and like, you know, I'll be a homer for the next 5 seconds. It sucks that Embiid played against the Mavs. He never plays ever, but he played tonight. I'm not being a homer anymore. The Mavs were super banged up, and Embiid humiliated them. And then the few times that Maxey got a favorable matchup on the perimeter, he made them pay. And I can confidently say a few times because he didn't even take many shots. It took him 22 shots to get 33 points. The dude was just on fire all night. And the Mavs had no rim protection and no size, and those two guys made them pay. The Sixers had 1 million points at the paint. I don't know what you can do on defense, I mean.
My big picture thought here is, and this is very, very big picture, Dallas is 26-25. They have remade the roster, and this is the DLLS postgame show. We are compartmentalizing Luka talk and Luka feelings, and when it comes to this actual team as it exists, or perhaps as it continues to evolve in the next few days, this team still has an upwards trajectory to make sure they're even out of the play-in tournament. There is a real possibility that their first home game since trading Luka is the loss that sends them under 500 for the season. And Anthony Davis is supposed to be back soon. We don't know exactly when. We knew Luka was planning to come back on Saturday. Again, this is not a, again, compartmentalizing that, put it aside. They cannot be changed. This team, no matter how good it is still absolutely in an upwards fight. And because they are not the Luka Mavericks, because you have not seen the version of them with Luka, that team that was winning 80% of their games earlier in the season, it's going to be different. There's going to be a lot more adjustments. It may be rocky at times. This is not a guarantee. Like, this season is not guaranteed to, no matter how good you are, it is not guaranteed to work out exactly the way you want it to. Kyrie Irving, another 42 minutes tonight. Oof. You know, like, that's a lot of minutes to try to win a game you really needed to win. You thought you were going to win until you realized Embiid was going to play in it. You thought this was going to be one of those schedule wins that goes your favor because Embiid is, you thought he might be out because, quite frankly, Philadelphia might pack it up at some point. They shouldn't do it tonight. And it just honestly makes me think, once again, and this was always going to be the case this season, as this team started to trend towards getting healthy, man, they've blown some losses. And man, this was a gettable one. And man, at the end of the year, they may look back and regret some of them. This one, in a very different way, but it goes into the exact same category of these losses that they kept losing in winnable situations.
You want to get upset real quick?
Sure.
Immediately,
I don't really get upset, but sure.
Immediately after this game was over with, Nick Nurse gets on a microphone and says Joel Embiid's out for tomorrow night against the Miami Heat.
Boo!
Immediately.
You should feel bad.
I mean,
not even 5 minutes after the game is over with, Nick Nurse says Joel Embiid is not playing on the second night of a back-to-back tomorrow when they play the...
You said it, Miami?
They play at home against Miami tomorrow night, and Joel Embiid is going to be out.
So they thought Dallas was the easier matchup, those two.
It sounds like it. And
it probably was not that.
Well, they got the win to prove otherwise. Your thoughts, Jesse, on tonight's game of Highwood Down?
Yeah, I think if we're going glass half full, right? We wanted to come out to this game and see what do we have in Max Christie. And for his, first night on the job, not too bad, right? Hit some big shots from the outside, missed a couple layups, but a lot of guys missed some layups tonight. And you think about this game that was a winnable game, and Kyrie playing a ton of minutes. You just know that when you're able to get back lively and you're able to get AD into the mix, some of that can be adjusted because when Kyrie goes off the floor, you now lose a ball handler and a guy who can get his own shot, right? When you have a guy like AD inserted into the mix, I can sit Kyrie 4 stretches at a time because I know that I have a guy that we can run our offense through who can go get a bucket at any time that we need it. And you talk about what Nico's talked about for the last 72 hours, defense. And boy, it was some freeway lanes to the basket that they had today. And whether it was Embiid or whether it was Yabusele or you name the guy, Tyrese Maxey was getting to the lane. Mm-hmm. Now there was little resistance at the rim for anyone today. I'm just, again, glass half full. You insert AD in there, maybe that gets adjusted a little bit, and you win a game like this. So, when I look at the Kyrie minutes, I go 42 minutes. He was the only guy that you can put out there with the ball in his hand and say, hey, go get us a bucket, and it looks efficient and effective and not like some mishmash stuff. And when you get your guys fully healthy, now my rotation changes and I don't have to have Kyrie in there for 42 minutes, and I can get AD the ball down the stretch, and now I can have him match up on Embiid one-on-one, and hopefully that will play into our favor.
I still worry about this team's makeup when fully healthy right now.
They need another guy that can dribble.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, Dante Exum looked awesome. He looked like the awesome player that was awesome last season, the player that I really liked watching, Until the finals. Okay. Really fun game for him. Really fun 47 and 57 seconds from him tonight. He played 20 minutes, but you know what I mean.
Surprised that Dinwiddie didn't play more. Not in like a bad way. I took note. He barely played in the second half.
Played 7 minutes in the second half.
That was really surprising. Yeah, and it was a little too much Kessler Edwards for me in the fourth quarter. But again, what are you supposed to do? Gafford played 33 minutes, and then I don't know what's wrong with his collarbone or his shoulder. I'm kind of afraid to find out. They don't have anyone that's taller outside of Gafford. Their next tallest player was Omax.
Would you have played Omax?
Going up against Joel Embiid.
Technically, it's Kyler Kelly, but
okay.
Would you have played Omax over Kessler Edwards down the stretch?
Maybe.
I found that curious. I don't know why, and I don't think it's wrong necessarily. I'm just not sure.
He played 23 minutes and went 0 for 3.
Yeah, and Prosper played 9. Was he? Did I miss him getting ruled out? That's actually really odd.
He got ruled out? He got hurt?
No,
No.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm just saying, did I miss that?
No.
That's really interesting because
played
Omax
9
had
minutes.
clearly been preferred over, and I think he's more preferred at the 4, but you don't have a lot of options as a backup center, a backup emergency center. So
Also, small footnote in this game too. Jaden Hardy, D and PCD. He did not play tonight at all in tonight's game.
that is pretty notable this time of year. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Can he be your other ball handler for stretches?
He can get buckets for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can set other people up, but they kind of needed. Dude, there was that stretch in the third quarter when Kyrie sat, and it was like, oh my god, what are they gonna do? But the fact that he didn't play at all, and the trade deadline is in 2 days.
I mean,
I'm writing that down.
yeah. What we say on the show a lot is like, he's not the guy you want initiating the offense.
Right.
That does not mean he's not a playmaker. Like, he can make good passes at times. He can make some really horrendous passes.
He can do everything that Najee was trying to do tonight. Look, I love the knife. All right, I love the knife. We love the knife.
yes.
But tonight
He had 19 points, dude.
Yeah, no. Just the final minute of the game, I just wish.
Yeah.
I just wish would have gone
a
different.
little more cleaned up in terms
couple
of
really weird.
Told you guys when Luka's out of the system, everybody's not looking around saying more shots for me, more action for me. I don't have to give the ball a 77. I don't have to watch him beat the ball into the floor and bang these nails in.
Let's go time.
Cool. I'm gonna go get mine off.
Yeah. I mean,
It happens it happens every time in these situations.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
and give the Mavericks and give Max Christie a lot of credit. I thought he played a very strong game in his debut. Obviously, coming into a new situation, came out, knocked down all 4 of his threes, had 15 points, was getting after it on the glass. I thought was active in both ends of the floor, but at the same time, it was funny just watching how the fourth quarter started to play out. The Sixers started to realize, we've got the biggest bleeper out here. Let's just start throwing the ball to that guy since the Mavericks don't have anyone taller than Omax that they're willing to play. And when they decided to do that, Joel Embiid gets the go-ahead bucket. He knocks down 1 or 2 free throws. Dante Exum, unfortunately, turns the ball over with an opportunity to try and tie the game, and that's how it went. One of the things that stood out for me from this game is the number 32. The Mavericks were a plus 32 tonight as far as their bench is concerned. They outscored the Sixers bench 44-12 in this game. Again, strong performance from Max Christie with 15 points. But Bobby, what did you say tonight as far as the Sixers scores relative to the Mavericks scores?
Justin Edwards, who I know all of you have heard of before, no disrespect to Justin Edwards, but he had 16 points. The only Mavs that had more than that were Kyrie and Najee Marshall, and Justin Edwards finished 4th on the team in scoring. So, the Sixers starters just beat the Mavs starters' butts, which, again, no PJ and no AD. You kind of expect to happen. The Mavs started Kessler Edwards in this game.
Yeah.
Like, they started Dante Exum. Max Christie came off the bench and played 32 minutes. He got to where the team is like 3 hours ago. So I'm not surprised that they ran roughshod over him, but it was still pretty uncomfortable to watch.
And in this game, the Sixers scored 64 points in the paint and also had 37 assists on the 47 made field goals that they had tonight. The Sixers sharing the ball and knocking down shots when they had the opportunities.
They did the Mavs to the Thunder thing.
They did.
They just did big man go do big man stuff.
I mean, but again, when you have the realization, we've got the biggest dude out here, even though he likes to take a bunch of mid-range shots, hey, get down there and start beating these dudes up because there's no big man to really stop Joel Embiid. And they finally realized it, unfortunately, too late and to the detriment of the Dallas Mavericks, who lose their 3rd straight game as they get ready to take on the Boston Celtics on the road on Thursday.
Easy game.
On NBA trade deadline day. Coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, what the turning point was in this game, plus a little bit later on, Anthony Davis spoke to the media today as well. When will he make his debut for the Dallas Mavericks? You will hear from the Mavericks' newest addition. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Sleeper?
That's you.
All right. So I was a little wrong.
Sleeping on sleepers.
I was a little wrong today. I thought Joel Embiid might be on a bit more of a minutes restriction in his first game back in like 6 years. But no, he played 36 minutes, and he proved that I don't know ball. So my sleeper pick of the night was a failure. I had won 4 out of my last 5, but unfortunately the Sixers are just out here to ruin my life. But sleeper, You can put your ball knowledge to the test like me by picking whether your favorite or least favorite Joel Embiid. Players will have more or less in their projected stats each game. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Get kept in the loop with instant alerts. For all the breaking news and major injuries, and in the NBA, there's a whole lot of injuries and trades, so you can stay ahead of the game and keep track of everything going on in real time. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Mavs to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. You can apply it to any contest. Sleeper is currently operational in over 25 states. Not operational. It's not Canada. This is the USA, baby. Check out Sleeper today.
Shady Rays, get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably even have a style in your favorite team's color, purple and gold. Exclusively for our listeners.
Hey, it's foreign blue, Tim. Come on.
Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try it for yourself. The shades are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Mavericks fall to the Philadelphia 76ers 118-116. I apologize for shorting Joel Embiid. He wound up having a triple-double tonight, actually, with the 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists.
It was very good.
That Joel Embiid had tonight to lead the 76ers. Justin Edwards, who Bobby mentioned, had 16 points, a plus 23 for the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. Unfortunately, the Mavericks fall as Kyrie Irving had 34 points in 41 minutes for their third straight loss. Still waiting on an update when it comes to Daniel Gafford, who left the game in the fourth quarter with a shoulder injury. No further update has been provided as of yet. Once we have one, we will let you know here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Looked a little spooky, not going to lie. You never like guys grabbing up here.
Yeah, he was holding that left shoulder area as he went back to the locker room and did not return in the fourth quarter, and the 76ers took advantage of that, especially with Joel Embiid down on the block with the win.
You ever hurt a shoulder, Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't do that.
Yeah. You never had to hold it like that? Like the way he was?
Get you one of these right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go, coach.
What's funny is right before that I was saying that if I tried to
funny.
tackle someone, I would hurt my shoulder. And then Daniel Gafford hurt his shoulder.
I don't think.
Is it my fault?
Trying to tackle someone, though.
There's a difference between toughness of a football player and toughness of a basketball player.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Joel Embiid got like plucked in the face, and you thought, you thought he got hit, and thought a Louisville Slugger went across his face. Like there's a difference. There's an absolute
so why do you
difference.
guys wear those helmets then? If you don't care, getting hit in the face.
Oh, boy.
Whoa.
That's not a big deal. I mean, I'm just saying, you might as well take
Tackle
that
him
thing
instead.
off.
Don't tackle me anymore. I don't want to get tackled. Just tackle him.
want to get tackled.
Late night with Tim Cato. If you want to hear more about that story, become a diehard.
Look at that.
My face hurts when it's hit.
Yeah.
I am just asking
No,
questions.
I thought you
here.
said take it in the face.
We
I
need
thought
that
was
out of
something completely
context, Tanner.
different.
We need that out of context, by
I
the way.
didn't,
Thank you
I didn't
very
know
much.
where you were going with that.
Oh, we doing a lot of laughing to keep from crying because, my gosh, the last several days have been nothing but painful. And unfortunately, as the clock continues to tick on our screen there, it is even that much more painful. Tanner didn't catch it. That's hilarious. But still didn't catch it, but that's okay. So we turn to the turning point of tonight's
still
game.
It's the longest ad break.
I was going to see how long it would take him before he caught the timer.
Well, clearly you weren't because you kept telling him.
I know, but he wasn't catching it
Nobody
anyway.
knows what we're talking about.
No,
let's keep going.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Let's get to the turning point of tonight's game. Let's focus in on the fourth quarter. Mavericks started the fourth quarter on what was a 6-0 run to cut the deficit to 94-93 with 9 minutes left. But the Sixers then responded with a 7-0 run of their own in what was a back and forth fourth quarter, especially in the last 5 minutes. 76ers led 101-93 with 8 minutes left. Then the Mavericks went and responded again. They went on a 16-6 run and included what was a 9-0 run in that to lead what was 109-107 with 4:25 left. And then, gentlemen, it just got back and forth from there as far as the fourth quarter was concerned. Joel Embiid, though, wound up hitting the go-ahead bucket with 22 seconds left. What did you guys see in that stretch in that fourth quarter as things got tight that allowed the 76ers to eventually come out with a win based off of what was happening, aside from the Daniel Gafford injury that really kind of shaped things on the defensive end there?
In football, sometimes you say it's X's and O's, but it's more Jimmy's and Joe's. And like it got to a point in time where they just said, and you mentioned this earlier, oh wait, we have the best player on the floor. Like we have the biggest and the best player on the floor. How about we give him the ball? And you saw the Mavericks, they were switching off and trying, one time you had you had Marshall that lined up on him, and Embiid gave him a little, shoulder shimmy, got a layup. The next time you see there's a Klay Thompson, he's on him. He goes and get a bucket. Then he puts again. There's Kyrie on him, and he goes and gets another layup. And this was like, oh, they figured out that we absolutely have the best player on the floor. Hey, let's not try to get other people involved. They don't have anybody big enough. They don't have a rim. They don't have a rim protector. They don't have anybody that's going to be able to stop Joel Embiid. If he ain't going to play tomorrow, let's get all that we can get out of him today. And they realized that down the stretch, and it got him the lead and won the game for him.
Yeah, and there's literally I don't want to be fatalistic, but there's truly nothing you can do if you got a bunch of 6'6" guys out there against Joel Embiid. There's nothing you can do except you have to you have to foul the heck out of him. Really, you have to grab him. You just have to wrap him up. There was a couple plays where he caught it face up at the elbow or the free throw line and just one dribble spin layup. And it's you have to take one for the team there, before he gathers. You have to just foul or hope that they don't call it, come down really hard on him. Not trying to hurt him. Come down hard on the ball, try and swipe it out of there before he can rise to the shot. Otherwise, it is going to be a layup every time, and it was a lot of layups for him and the Yabusele. And then whenever Maxey was able to beat, Max Christie was doing his best, and, Kyrie got matched up on him a couple times, but Maxey's going to win those battles. And there's just no help behind him, especially when Gafford's on the bench. There's just no size anywhere. So, credit to the Sixers. It's a whole lot of fun when the Mavs do that. They just say, I'm bigger than you. It's not as fun whenever you're the one that's getting thrown around. But yeah, despite all of that, the Mavs are still in a position to win the game. Yeah. They're up one with the ball on a 2-on-1 fast break with 35 seconds left or whatever. And, Najee made the decision to go for the layup. Pretty physical play, but there was no foul called, which I think is the right play. Sixers go down and they end up scoring, and that's a bummer. And then Mavs get the ball, and we know what happened after that. So despite all of that, they still almost had a chance. They did have a real chance to win. So I know fans are going to be frustrated about the last play once again, but I really think this game was lost on the defensive end just due to lack of size more than anything else.
Yeah. It's tough on one hand. And the Sixers were healthier, but not a healthy team either. Not a team that's won a lot. Again, more because of the
rare
injuries,
case where and I guess this is the reality now without Luka, although AD's a really, really, really damn good player, but the Mavs probably had either the second or third best player in the game tonight, maybe even the third. They're not used to that, but that's going to kind of be the reality as far as best shot creator, best offensive player.
Yeah, no.
Unless AD is really in top form.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. And look, if you just have all your big men and the other team doesn't, things like this do happen. Dallas beat OKC, and Dallas was a shell of itself in that game. Maybe not a shell. That's a little bit harsh. But yeah, I don't really fault them for what happened down the stretch, and just pointing out that the Sixers are a ho-hum team, and this was not their fault. Both teams started two-way players. I'll put it that way. Both teams were very clearly limited from the idealized versions of themselves.
And for the Mavericks themselves, obviously down the stretch, ball handling was an issue. The lack of size in the middle was an issue for this team, and the Sixers made them pay as far as that was concerned. I see some of the comments in the chat with the jeers of defense wins championships. Yep, that's
well, yeah. Literally every guy every player on the team taller than 6'6" was unavailable tonight except for Gafford, and he got hurt at the end.
Yeah. And they were not going to be playing Kyler Kelly down the stretch. That was that was just not going to be a thing, even if you're looking for any kind of size as far as that is concerned in the game.
And even down the stretch, you mentioned this, Bobby. You can even kind of put a little bit of fault on Jason Kidd. It's one thing about coaching is, can you get us into the right play? I can tell you from the football side, dealing with what I had to deal with the last year is, hey, get us in the right play. Get us in a play that's going to be able to maximize us having success. And you run the same 3 plays to end the game that resulted
3 times in a row, yeah.
3 times in a row that resulted in turnovers and a lack of buckets. And then the last play, you want the ball in Kyrie Irving's hands, but now he's flying towards the ball handler. He has to pitch it back in, and now guys are like, oh, here's my time to shine instead of getting the ball
instantly
back.
doubled him.
They doubled him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you run the same play 3 times in a
they knew what
row,
was
it's
happening,
a lot easier to instantly
Right.
double.
It was a nice play what they were doing the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. So like 100%.
But for Jason Kidd, you got to get in your bag. You got to get in your creative bag. Like you know that you're limited. And if I'm gonna end this game, I want to end the game with the ball in my best player's hand, who can create a shot, who has hit many big shots in his time, whether that's a in the lane floater, a layup, a step back three, whatever it is. I don't want the ball in Najee Marshall's hand trying to create a shot to end the game. I want the ball in Kyrie's hand at that point in time, and then let him decide whether he's going to take it, or if they come to bring a double to him from anywhere, I can now pass it off to someone else. So for Jason Kidd, you got to get in your creative bag too, my boy. You're now challenged as a coach because you don't have the ultimate playmaker in Luka Doncic where you could just say, all right, here's the ball, 1-4, get the hell out of his way, let him do what he does. This is now where coaching will have to come into play, and you have to go out there and win close games like this for your team by drawing up the right play out of a timeout.
Yeah, and I think on that play, you could run the same exact action, but one little tiny thing that they could have changed after one of the times it failed was make Clay be the guy that's one pass away and not Najee or not Exum. I know they don't want Clay being the trigger man, but the inbound guy, that was Exum. But if it's Najee, if you're doubling Kyrie, you're doubling Kyrie off of Klay Thompson. So then you're forcing them to rotate because that guy's going to get yelled at if he lets Clay take an open three. So then you are getting that open three in the corner. It's not kind of this hopeless one-on-one drive. So you can run the same exact action, but just move the pieces around differently to force the defense to kind of bend in different ways.
Because
you definitely don't want Clay being the trigger man. He is not. He makes a lot of weird passes.
The final play came with about 4 seconds.
Ish.
Yep. Yeah. You're almost certain they're going to double Kyrie from that situation.
They could have had more time and probably should have had more time, but it took them like 4 seconons to foul Embiid at the end there too, which is pretty annoying.
And it's like the question really at that point is, like you put I would have put Clay over there. I like the idea of Clay over there. Honestly, I kept thinking like, man, it'd be nice to have like a guy who can sidestep into a three. And the only player the Mavericks had like that was I'm thinking about Quentin Grimes, like a role player you could have put in that position. I would have been fine if Max Christie was over there. I would have rather gone in for 3 than 2 in that situation. Like you have to. In fact, the more I think about this, like you are without a center and you're not playing for overtime in that situation. Very clearly, there's no reason. Like this is not a situation where you feel confident going into an overtime without a center against Joel Embiid that you're going to win. So what you have to do in that situation is you have to find the 3. And so you overload with 3-point shooters on that side if you're expecting the double. Or maybe not overload because overload brings more defenders to that side. But you need an outlet guy who can get a 3 off. Hopefully a quality one. And Dante Exum's not that guy. Dante Exum is a spot-up 3-point shooter. He will not take a 3 that is not,
airball the one he got.
I say he had a wide open airball one today.
Yeah, so
this is a pro Dante Exum podcast.
Like again,
I think
this is not. No, I love Dante Exum.
I want this to be a pro Dante Exum.
Yes. Yes. But this game was already lost by a lot of circumstances out of their control. It would have, been a win they stole in a lot of ways if they had managed to get this one. But it was there to be stolen. And maybe a little bit better execution on the very last play would have helped.
Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. When we come back, we hop into Cato's Corner as we dive into the latest move that the Dallas Mavericks made, as well as Anthony Davis speaking to the media today as well. You'll hear from him and what day he will debut potentially for your Mavericks. All that and more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. But it's game time right here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. If you love going to basketball games, football games, concerts, you got to use Game Time to get your tickets. Game Time picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. I use Game Time to purchase my tickets for WrestleMania coming up in April 19th and 20th at Allegiant Stadium, and I was able to see where I was going to be sitting with the panoramic seat views, all in pricing as well, so I knew how much exactly I was going to pay before I even got to checkout. They've even got the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So make sure you take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today for your last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed.
And if you're watching this, you're probably a sports fan, or you think that we're all very handsome gentlemen. Both of those can be absolutely true. But if you have a she shed, if you have a man cave, if you have just a TV room, if you have a son, daughter, niece, nephew, grandchild, and they like sports memorabilia and they like things that can express their sports personality, then you need to visit our friends over at FOCO and use the promo code DLLS and get 10% off. You see some nice stuff that we have out here, right here, the Dirk and the Chandler, all these type of things, they all come from FOCO, and they can get you, whether it's hoodies or signs, bobbleheads, they can get you everything in between.
Or Cowboys Crocs, like for me.
Or that for you, or like friendship bracelet. They have the friendship bracelet. So if you and your pals want to be looking good heading to a game, head on over to FOCO.com, use the promo code DLLS, and get 10% off. Make this thing a family affair.
Mavericks fall, unfortunately, to the Philadelphia 76ers, 118-116 for their third straight loss. They'll continue their road trip on a Thursday when they take on the Boston Celtics. Before we hop into Cato's Corner, Anthony Davis, the newest member of the Dallas Mavericks, along with Max Christie, he spoke with the media today as Anthony Davis is getting acclimated to this team, hopefully having an opportunity to debut soon. What he said today to the media in terms of when that could possibly happen, here's what Anthony Davis had to say earlier today prior to tonight's game.
We'll work out today, see how I feel. And depending on that, get another one in Wednesday, tomorrow, and then depending on that, see how I feel. If not Thursday, then more than likely Saturday at home.
Okay, so hopefully Saturday against the Houston Rockets.
It'll be a perfectly normal game.
That will be a day that will be very interesting, to say the least. We're going to switch things up. Our National NBA insider, Marc Stein, is ready to go with us right now. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line as the Mavericks fall to the Philadelphia 76ers. But obviously, Mark, we are just a couple of days away from the NBA trade deadline. The Mavericks making yet another move today in acquiring Caleb Martin in a game day trade with the Philadelphia 76ers. But obviously, this team in making moves right now to make this team in the image of Nico Harrison at this point.
Yeah, look, it's been a circus of a deadline. I greatly appreciate you guys carrying on without me because I have barely moved outside of the dungeon today.
Jesse Holley is stepping up, Mark.
Listen, the coach called in a righty, Stein. The coach called in a righty, baby.
It is great to have our.
He actually just broke some NBA news. Jesse did.
Did he?
No.
No, he did not.
Yeah, look, the Mavs, you saw them make a follow-up trade this morning to get Caleb Martin, to get some wing depth, and to get a player who has a contract structure that long-term, they didn't come to terms on a contract with Quentin Grimes before the October, the eve of opening night deadline they had with Grimes. So they get Martin, who we've seen perform really well in the playoffs, and they get him on a deal that, I think they can stomach for the long term. But, look, man, this whole league right now is on alert for something going on with Kevin Durant. A Jimmy Butler trade still hasn't happened, which we anticipate. New Orleans is talking a bunch of stuff with Brandon Ingram. There are 25 other scenarios that I haven't even mentioned. We've already seen 10 trades. We've still got a good day and a half to go. So, and saying all that, a big part of me is, I'm sure with you guys, can't really move off Luka for AD because that is still something that is just so massive. And every phone call I have when I talk, yes, I'm talking, I'm checking stuff with people around the league about scenario A, B, C. The second that conversation ends, all they want to do is talk, and I'm when I look away at my screen, I'm trying to monitor 3 other screens in the dungeon. So please don't take it personal. All they want to do is talk about Luka, AD, and this trade that a lot of us still can't believe. So as far as you guys played that clip of AD, you heard him talk about there is some hope that Thursday could be the day. It might have to be Saturday, though, and one of the tough aspects of this for the Mavericks, they're really not going to have a practice. As I understand it, they are staying tonight in Philadelphia, traveling tomorrow. So, if they can get on the floor in Boston Wednesday, it's going to be something very brief. And so it's not even clear if, how much time they can actually get on the court before they play the defending champions. And then they got to rush back home and play a matinee on Saturday. So it would probably be easier to bring AD in Saturday. But one thing I have heard, and I think it's reflected in the comments that we've heard from Anthony Davis since this trade, I think he is really eager to get out there. He is very close with Nico Harrison. I think he's well aware of the heat that Nico is taking, and I think he wants to try to get out there and deliver for this team and show people that, the Mavericks acquired a very good player. Now, the truth is none of us dispute that. This is not about Anthony Davis. Nobody is questioning what Anthony Davis can do at his best. But obviously the Mavericks want to get him out on the court, but they need the best from him. And so with Davis nursing this abdomen injury, they certainly don't want to rush it. He sustained this injury actually in Philadelphia exactly a week ago. And when he got hurt, the Lakers initially said he would be out at least a week. So can he make it back Thursday? Is Saturday the safer, smarter option? I probably would lean that way if I have to. But let's see. Let's see how the trip to Boston goes and how he feels.
What about KD, Mark? When is he going to be a Maverick?
I don't know that I would send you to the airport just yet. Look, everybody.
Well, it's a long flight from Phoenix. I get it. It'll take
everybody saw the report tonight from The Athletic. I don't normally want to comment on other people's reporting because I can only talk about what I report. But look, the 3 guys on that story, Sam Amick, Anthony Slater, David Aldrich, all tremendous reporters, all good friends of mine. DA especially, one of my mentors. I got to work with him both as a Washington Post intern and correspondent and for many years at ESPN. Look, I can just say that from my reporting to this point, it's very difficult for me to see how the Mavericks could turn around and do something like that this week. I'm not prepared to rule anything out anymore after we've seen in the last 72, 96 hours. But realistically, the Mavericks don't have a slew of big money contracts to work with at this point. And more importantly, they have not seen Anthony Davis on the floor yet. They don't have Derek Lively right now for we don't know how long. Are we going to see Derek Lively again in this regular season? We know Anthony Davis wants to play with centers. Theoretically, the Mavs have 2. Right now, the Mavs only have 1. And certainly Daniel Gafford would have to be included in some sort of KD trade if there was any truth to it. And I don't think the Mavericks, before Anthony Davis plays a single game, want to trade their one healthy center when they don't know when Lively's going to be back. And even beyond that, again, stacking up the kind of contracts financially to get to KD's number. Again, I got to do a lot more of my own reporting on it. But, to this point in my checking, like I said, I haven't found anybody telling me send Corella Strader to the airport to wait for this to happen.
And even in Sam and David and Anthony's article, even when they floated this idea, they said it seemed unlikely. It appears unlikely. So I would say that, what you're saying is not even incompatible with what they reported. obviously old coworkers and people I know very well of mine as well.
Okay.
I do have a random question.
Go ahead.
That is a random question, right? Like when you're in this mode where we're talking about trade deadlines and you have the Luka situation happen and now you're locked in the dungeon and you got 2 cell phones, 3 monitors and a pear in the pear tree, all that kind of good stuff. Like what do you eat? Like what's on the menu? Are you calling DoorDashing it? Are you Hello Freshing it? Like what do you eat in these times right now? Quick finger food, sandwich, salad. Like what's on the Marc Stein menu when the phones are constantly ringing, buzzing, and humming?
Well, considering that I've talked about losing 25 pounds for most of the last 25 years, I think you can safely assume I'm not missing meals. Getting food to the dungeon is the least of my problems. I mean, today I actually ate as healthy as I have probably in days, which is a miracle because when you're sitting in here just waiting and chasing and the phone is now ringing, which I'm silencing because that is a call I can pass on.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Pew, pew, pew.
I
Shots
hope
fired.
that person isn't listening to the show right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, the person who called that comment might actually reach them, but that's fine. I won't be sad about it.
Don't worry, we send Ben the voicemail all the time too.
Yeah, well, Ben knows better than to even call me until next week. Look, I mean, yeah, like I said, first of all, do not ever feel an ounce of sorry for me. I mean, it is. I do. It is great to have this kind of setup where I got all the screens and I can, just join you guys. It's so great to just be able to pop. We've done this now 3 or 4 times already in the last 3 or 4 days. Just hop in and connect with you guys and then get back to it. But trust me, man, I am not missing any meals. That is the least of the issues.
I do want to ask you before we let you go, because obviously, as you mentioned earlier, the story that continues to dominate the league is obviously Luka Doncic to the Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis. From what you can share, one of the things I keep getting asked is like, Kevin, what are we missing here with this trade between the Lakers and the Mavericks that sees Luka get traded in the middle of the night without anyone knowing? Like, what are we missing here? Is there something that we're missing?
Everyone is acting like there's this soon-to-be revealed bombshell, and I really don't think so. And I think my reporting and Tim's reporting, this has been building. We didn't know about it because, Nico Harrison never came out and broadcast this. But it's clear that since the finals, in his mind, within the brain trust of this team, this has been building. And, it's not just the concerns about, they can, whatever the concerns are, conditioning, weight, diet. They didn't like that he had his own team of that handled all his medical health and training needs, whatever things you want to list. It's not just the concerns from the Mavericks perspective. I think from the Mavericks perspective, what they would say is, it's because these concerns have lingered for a long time, combined with the fact that they had to commit the largest contract in NBA history to him. But I think also another main factor here is Nico Harrison's affection for Anthony Davis is such that he wanted Anthony Davis. That's the guy he wanted to be. That's a player he felt more comfortable as his centerpiece than Luka. And no matter how many of us protest it, don't like it, find issue with it, can't believe the trade return, et cetera, I don't think there's some magic thing that we're missing. I know that, and I'm not blaming you. I get that question all the time too. What is this now? 3-4 days later. Well, what really happened? This is
every single media hit. I think any one that you've done, every one that I've done, every single time.
And I just wanted to make sure that we got that, because again, that's some of the feeling that I felt was it's kind of out there what it is right now. But I wanted to at least, hey, this is the voice of, our guy. This is what it is. And y'all got to, unfortunately, have to deal with it because
And
Trade
I
is-
said, and I'm not trying to convince, I'm not trying to convince it. I would not make this trade. I mean, and look, but I've said that before. And, Nico Harrison has made a bunch of moves that have worked out. But, the bar for this one working out is going to be much, much higher. And again, so much is riding on Anthony Davis being great, but also, Tim Legler said this on the All NBA show, and it was a fantastic point that we probably haven't talked about enough. A big part of this equation is what Luka does as a Laker, and if he goes on to the greatness that I'm sure all five of us would expect, I mean, that makes it even tougher, even worse, even harder for the Mavericks to ever come out of this and be able to say we did okay here. I mean, the Mavericks have to win a championship. I mean, that is non-negotiable now. They have to win a championship at some point with Anthony Davis at the center of it. But beyond that, I mean, if Luka goes to LA and just continues on the path to greatness that so many have forecasted for him, I mean, it just makes it even tougher.
Mark, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much for stopping down with us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. We know you've got more work and reporting to do, so we will allow you to go do that. We appreciate it.
And I'm seeing, I guess Kyrie just did an interview and addressed the trade for the first time, so I'm sure you guys are going to want to get to his quotes.
We will do so. Appreciate the time.
All right.
Man. That's our National NBA insider, Marc Stein, good enough to join us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. When we come back, we'll hop into Cato's Corner, more on the trade that took place today between the Mavericks plus Kyrie Irving makes his first remarks after the bombshell trade that sees Luka Doncic become a Los Angeles Laker. All that and more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
So obviously with all this news breaking, the Mavs making not one but two trades, Cowboys doing a coaching search and settling on their guy, the Rangers launching a whole TV network, the Stars making a good trade that everyone just kind of agrees was like, yeah, that was a pretty smart deal. There's been a lot of interest in our website, in alldlls.com. There's been a lot of people signing up to become diehards, and I just want to shout out every single one of them that have signed up since yesterday. Shout out to Austin, Nova, Mason, Martha, David, Miller, Philip, and Spencer. Shout out to Matthew, Jordan, Michael, Jeff, Jared, Jude, Nathaniel, Travis, Chase, Anne-Marie, Alex, Cam, Ronald, Patrick, Adam, Shane, Alex, Mike, Micah, and Matthew. And finally, shout out to Chris, Dylan, Coleman, Brennan, Shauna Vaz, Shelly, Lydia, Jonathan, Tyler, Rob, Scott, Dylan, Tim, Elizabeth, Richard, Jacob, Daniel, Jonathan, John, and Steven.
About 3 Kims, LaToya, and Tina.
But just shout out to every single one of you for becoming a diehard and supporting what we're doing here at DLLS Sports, getting to read all the paywalled written content. Tim's put out a couple bangers already about the trade. There's going to be more coming very soon on that and on the Mavs plans and on any other moves that they do. You can also join the DLLS Diehard Discord Lounge, and you get a free shirt whenever you sign up and a discount on any other merch. And then finally, you get a discount on events. And there's still precious few. Oh, are you back? Oh, there's still precious few tickets left for our watch party coming up on Thursday at Cosm. Cosmos Giant Sports Dome up in the Colony, not too far from Dallas. We're going to be watching the Mavs take on the Celtics. Diehards get a discount. You don't have to be a diehard to go, but you do get a 20% discount if you sign up at the link that Tanner will drop in the description. So shout out to everybody who's hanging in the chat and everyone who's become a diehard. Really, really, really appreciate all your support during one of the craziest times I can remember in my life, to be honest.
Shout out to the well over 500 folks watching us live right now on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. In fact, the number is right now, over 500. So we appreciate all of you joining us here.
On a school night. Let's go.
On the show. Momentarily here, we will hear the first words from Kyrie Irving and his reaction to the trade of Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers taking on the Clippers tonight. Luka Doncic sitting right next to his new teammate, LeBron James, today, as Luka Doncic, of course, made his first public remarks after the trade was over with. And we'll also get to your super chats as well. We've got a few of those that we will get to throughout the course of our show. As our guy Tanner prepares that to hear the first words from Kyrie Irving. Another trade was made today by the Dallas Mavericks, Tim, as Caleb Martin is a new member of the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Quentin Grimes, and the Mavericks sending back their second-round pick that they got from Philadelphia in this trade as well. We had our emergency podcast a little bit earlier on today, but obviously Caleb Martin now a part of this team as well going forward here.
Yeah. So the main thing here is on DLLS.com. Got to pair up with a teammate, with one of our teammates, Kyle Neubeck. He is the PHLY Sixers beat reporter. Someone I've known for a long time. Really, really good, respected NBA writer. And, the key thing in this conversation, we talked about all aspects of it, and certainly you guys can go back and listen to the Emergency Live pod. But the thing that really stood out, for me in this convo, that was very enlightening to me, was getting to ask Kyle directly about Caleb Martin. Not just, I have an impression of the player he is. We talked a lot about that. But, as someone who's been watching him every single game this season, I thought it stood out. So what Kyle said about Caleb Martin is he was injured for a lot of the season, and he's been injured lately, but he has been, early in the season, he was playing through injury. He was a guy who had a bandaged shooting shoulder, and he was playing through pain. He said that really stood out to, the locker room, the teammates around him. They called him the Undertaker for his ability to come back to life from any number of bumps, bruises, and injuries, all of which he played through until this latest hip injury. That's the thing that has him out right now. Kyle describes him as a rock-solid wing defender who can guard most guys 2 to 4. He said he has a little bit of creation ability. He'll hit like a mid-range turnaround jumper. I remember those from Miami and those playoff runs where he's actually kind of decent every once in a while. You throw it into the low post or the mid post against a smaller player, and he can hit shots from there. The big swing skill for him is the wonky-looking jumper, in Kyle's words. And, this is a kind of conversational style article, and, I, chimed in, and this is something I've seen. This is the fewest threes per minute, per 36 minutes, however, but this is the fewest rate of threes that Martin has taken his entire NBA career. Neubeck kind of used that as definitely possibly something influenced by the injury to shooting shoulder, but not super consistent mechanics, and the injury has exacerbated that a little bit. So it's not just like, okay, he's hurt. Like this has actually like kind of affected his shot a little bit, even though he's been able to play through it. And then the other thing is that he can be a little bit, gun shy, just gun shy to take shots and stuff like that. So I think all of those things stood out, just kind of about as I expected, but hearing it from Kyle, I thought made just kind of amplified it. He is definitely a guy who can guard up a little bit. Max Christie tonight and in this game, that looked a lot like Quentin Grimes. And, the idea is that he might be a better fitting, slightly better version of Quentin Grimes. Again, we talked about all that reasoning already on the emergency show, but, Caleb Martin definitely feels like someone who can fill a slightly different role, or, dare I say it, perhaps do a slightly better job of what Najee's been doing this season. Like, that is a real possibility, especially when you're talking postseason. To be clear, I think there's room. I expect there to be room for both of them. I think both of them will be playing. But yeah, if there is somebody's minutes who might directly be, who Caleb Martin might directly be taking, or at least a role that is very similar, that is a more similar player. So it is kind of funny that, obviously we'll see. And again, I'm still a big fan of Naji Marshall. He will be playing. I want to make that clear. But it is kind of funny that Dallas's 2 big offseason additions, or 2 big role-playing offseason additions outside of Clay, they almost instantly acquired 2 more players that really are similar in a lot of ways to these 2 players.
Hopefully for Caleb Martin, obviously, who is obviously a little bit older than Quentin Grimes, who has been to an NBA Finals. This player, it appears, fits the quote-unquote timeline that Nico Harrison has established, the new one that he has established for this team. Bobby, you had mentioned a little bit earlier, it's tough to see that second-round pick go back to Philadelphia after they had initially gotten that pick to help facilitate this trade. But nonetheless, that is what happened in terms of the trade going down today.
Giving up the pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like it. He's got a 4-year contract. That's 4 years worth of money. That pick might be bad. It might be good. I don't know. Why give it up? And just be like, I don't want to. I don't want to give it to you, Daryl. Now what? And see what he says.
Rob Pelinka did that. Like, no, we don't want to give you. We don't want to give you any more first-round picks. So just
And it
take
worked
that.
for him.
And it worked.
That is okay.
The Mavs had to give up a second in that trade too.
Yeah, one of the craziest details of that trade we'll talk about in a little bit. But Kyrie Irving, this is via Grant Abseth, who is reporting in Philadelphia tonight. Kyrie Irving speaking to the media for the first time since Luka Doncic has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Here's what Kyrie Irving had to say in terms of his reaction to finding out the news that Luka had been traded to Los Angeles.
Just really shocked, and you just don't imagine that you're gonna get ready to go to sleep and then you find out news like that. So it's still a grieving process right now. Miss my hermano. We had a lot of time together. Keith too, and Maxey, and we just built some bonds that went beyond the basketball court. So if anybody can understand at home, when someone or a few group of people or a few people leave in a trade, it's going to be difficult, and that's what we're dealing with right now. But this is a business. It's way above my pay grade. I just got to adjust and be ready to welcome in my new teammates with open arms and kind of be ready to go back to Dallas too, to speak in front of our fans. I know they're feeling it too. I'm feeling it too, guys. It's just an adjustment period, and I don't want to downplay this either or disrespect our new guys. They're going to help us win and they're going to help us build towards a championship. But just like everyone else at home, kind of see it from afar, it hurts. So.
God, what a great way to talk about that.
Oh, go ahead.
That was perfect.
Shout out to Kyrie for the New Jersey hat. My New Jersey brother, and I know that you guys didn't notice it, but I noticed it initially.
He wears that hat quite often.
Yeah, shout out to my New Jersey brother and Kyrie. We're from the same area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always proud to see my home state represented through Kyrie.
Would you say tonally that he matched what Mavericks fans are feeling way more than the Nico Harrison press conference?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
That was a proper statement.
Yeah.
Kyrie's a conscious dude, right? Like, so he understands how to read the room from an emotional standpoint, and he's seen how people have reacted to what Nico had to say, and how, he has social media. He has all of, his people are telling him, like, people are pretty mad about it. And for him to go and address the fans and saying, we feel like you feel, it gives that relatability, right? It gives that, it's pulling the fans into the locker room and making them feel like you're not wrong because we feel the same way you feel. And Kyrie's a smart dude. Like, he is very, very self-aware. He knows what to say, when to say, how to say it, even in the tone in which he talked about it. His tone was very, almost a morning tone, right? It wasn't a like nonchalant tone or, business-like approach tone or, I'm a professional and we'll move on. No, he had a very sympathetic tone because he understands right now he is the voice of the locker room for the people on this Mavericks football basketball team.
He's the voice of the franchise because
he is now the voice of the franchise.
Because the GM got up in front of everybody
and made jokes. Yeah, you're right.
And laughed and said defense wins championships. Suck it up. So when we win, you'll forgive us. You'll come back around.
He needs to go and sage. He has to go sage the
entire American Airlines Center.
Get all that bad mumbo jumbo out of there. Just sage Nico's office and sage, where Luka locker used to be, and just give it a good sage.
Yeah,
give it a smoke out.
Yeah, you just think about the moments that they had together in the run to the NBA Finals and how connected these two. Again, one of my favorite moments from last season was, after that win in overtime against, speaking of Dante Exums, that win that they had against the Houston Rockets at the American Airlines Center, and you just see Luka and Kyrie collapsing into each other's arms as they go walk toward midcourt, and then their teammates come and embrace them. And what was, I thought, a signature moment of the season last year, kind of crystallizing the brotherhood that the two of them had developed, and you heard Kyrie Irving in the comments there say mi hermano, again talking about his brother as far as Luka Doncic is concerned. So I'm happy that Kyrie understood the moment and was able to channel, obviously, the anger, pain, and frustration that Mavericks fans are feeling now that their franchise player has been moved on from.
It's a real statement, man.
Yes, and a real statement.
I can say a few more things about what I was listening to a bit more of what Kyrie said tonight. If you guys want me to toss it out there,
we're gonna play one more.
Perfect.
We got one more. Again, via Grant Abseth, live on the scene in Philadelphia.
Okay. We are live doing the show. We are as live as possible doing the show right now, guys.
Very much so.
My bad, KG. You had it all figured out.
You got it. This is what Kyrie Irving had to say in response to trying to learn more about the reasoning that Nico Harrison had about moving on from Luka Doncic. Here is what Kyrie Irving had to say in response to that question.
So you wrote a Dear Dallas letter to fans.
And what did you want to know from Nico when you talked to him about why this trade was done?
Like I said, it's just above my pay grade. This is something that was in the works without a lot of people necessarily being privy to the information and knowledge. So as a player, you can only do but so much. I reached out to Luka, made sure that he was good, made sure his family was good, and it was time to move forward. And also Keith and Maxey, I don't want to keep forgetting them. They had a huge position in our team, responsibility for us making it to the finals last year, keeping everybody sound, mind, body, spirit. So now that falls on different guys, and guys are going to have to step up, including myself, and be ready for this adjustment period, which is going to be great regardless, but at the same time, it's going to be some healthy mistakes along the way as we integrate everybody into what's going on.
God,
there's one other
so good, man.
Yeah, and there's one other quote that really stood out to me. Kyrie was asked about the locker room perspective, and he said, they're putting the pieces together. Everybody had a lot of questions, but the tone is improving. And it was just being able to say not everything was perfect or amazing or just completely understandable in the few hours and the 24, 48 hours that followed. I think we all have an appreciation for that, for him. As he also said, when he heard the news, the first thing that he was thinking about is, quote, trying to figure out how to deal with this as a leader of the team. So
deal with this is quite an expression.
Yeah. Poignant words from Kyrie Irving. Again, he providing his first remarks tonight after the Mavericks fall to the 76ers. And, of course, Luka Doncic being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Before we end, let's get to our Super Chats on this evening for our DLLS Mavs post-game show. Let's start with, that is, Ya Billy with the $5 Super Chat. Do y'all think Nico's handling of the Luka Doncic situation is worse than Dan Gilbert's handling of LeBron James in his first stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
No, I don't. No, there's been no Comic Sans and no really weird guarantees.
Yeah, the way Dan Gilbert handled that situation with LeBron going out the door was just weird.
Shout out Dan Gilbert though for helping pump some money into Detroit. They really needed that.
And the
Detroit
fond of Comic Sans.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that was its apex mountain.
That was
Comic Sans apex mountain. Was that Dan Gilbert open letter?
I know this is not a LeBron James podcast, but my gosh, to go back to that city after what that man had to say about him and then go deliver a championship, LeBron is a much bigger man than me because the
really is bigger than basketball.
Of course, this is for you. But Dan Gilbert was still the owner, or excuse me, the governor at the time when he went back there. I would have never worked for that team ever again, but good for him.
You ain't got hit with that right price.
I guess it's not my money, I guess. Claymore K.
Thank you, Billy. Thank
you. Appreciate it. With the $5 super chat. Mavs need another ball handler as insurance to preserve Kyrie's durability. Josh Giddey is being wasted on the Bulls.
That's a tough one. You're about whoever trades for him, if someone does, about to have to pay him a lot of money.
Give me Kobe White.
Yeah.
That's apparently a thing.
Apparently he's available.
Not with the Mavs necessarily. They're exploring trading him.
I was saying because he's a Tar Heel.
He is a Tar Heel.
Kobe White.
That's a pro Tar Heel guy.
Give me all the Tar Heels.
That's right.
I'm not on Josh Giddey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, after what he did. Oh, God.
Oh, allegedly.
I wasn't even talking about that. I was just talking about how horrendous he was in the playoffs.
Sorry.
Relax, Bobby. Jeez.
I didn't do anything.
I didn't touch you, though. I was with you, Bobby. I was on the same wavelength that you were on.
Just in case.
Yeah, it's just I guess really on court as a basketball player, I really worry that he's a ways off from consistently not being a negative in playoff situations.
Shout out Claymore, another one.
With the $10 super chat.
Clay be on our show too. We like
Claymore,
Clay. Mama named Clay.
We like Clay. We love Clay.
We love Clay more.
Mama named Clay. I'm gonna call him
But because
Clay.
I love Clay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a Josh Giddey guy on this team.
It's a hell of a finishing move by Drew McIntyre as well. In light of Luka's trade and to establish accountability, the NBA must set a mandatory of 2 first-round picks, mandatory compensation for a multiple-time All-NBA accomplished player in the future to avoid another heist.
They already got the step-in rule. They can call this one the Nico rule.
I'm not mad at that though.
That was one of the goofiest
That's a good idea.
details.
Honestly, I am all for it.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all.
Great idea.
I'm for it. But that was one of the goofiest details of this trade is that originally there were 2 first-round picks being offered, but the Lakers were able to keep one of them because allegedly the Lakers were not able to talk to Luka Doncic's agent, Bill Duffy, in order to figure out whether or not Luka Doncic would re-sign with the Lakers if they traded for him. So because of that, the Lakers were able to allegedly keep one of their first-round picks because they didn't have the ability to talk to Luka or his agent before trading for him. So
yeah, I would say too bad, so sad.
I would say you are the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
You are the one, and I mean the one franchise who cannot say, if we can't talk to the agent, will we want to sign with us?
Well, you
You're
want to stay in
the
LA?
Los Angeles Lakers.
yeah,
You're
man.
the
Terrible.
franchise that gets every free agent.
It's just terrible. It's terrible.
Oh no, honestly, like I total respect to Pelinka. Like to play we're just a little Lakers.
We're the underdog Lakers over here.
like
I need that as
props.
a short, by the way, Tanner. I need that as a short, by the way. Not to do more work for you. Shout out to JP Cantrell with the $10 super chat. Y'all got lots of words to say. This is good. I don't. Can you make that a little bigger for me?
It's on the right. You got it on the right.
Oh, well, it's a lot of words. I don't care if he looks like a shirtless Chris Farley, drinks recovery beers, and smokes Camels. If he's a generational talent that takes your team to the NBA Finals, you do not trade him. Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Ryan Russillo had some similar sentiments as you, and I thought was hilarious. He
definitely drinks recovery beers.
Look, I'll hand the cat the cheeseburger on the way up the floor if you want it, damn it. Like, here, with your 39-9 self. Go ahead.
I will say,
He's just got one tucked back behind his ear.
I think this one has been made, but I feel like I haven't directly seen it. There is something very funny to me about the logic, the reasoning. Okay, so the logic and the reasoning for trading Luka Doncic is like, at some point in the near future, he's going to break down. So we have to go make this team old for a short-term play at a championship. Like, okay, he's going to break down in 3 years. You just set the max contending window of this team at 3 years. It's just a little funny to me.
Which goes with the idea that if you want to go with Nico Harrison, going to be around here for X amount of years anyway. I mean, yeah. Go do what you do before you ride off into your Nike cash and check sunset.
Can I ask this question? And I'm not telling anyone how to mourn, but is there a day number where you have to say to yourself, okay, we have to move on? Like, is there a time frame when you got to go? He ain't here.
Have you ever heard the rule about relationships? Have you heard this one before?
No.
It takes 1/3 of the length of your relationship to get over your relationship once it's ended.
So if you was in a relationship for 21 years,
it'd be about 2 years.
So 2 years of this.
If that's how we go. Now
I'm going back to Cowboys on Monday, so it's all good. It's all good.
I'm still upset that Jimmy Johnson
there are
got fired.
fans. There are
it's been
fans
30
that are,
years since that happened.
There are fans that are planning a protest, like a formal protest at the arena on Saturday at 2:00. There are fans that are demanding refunds on their season tickets that want to cancel their season
there's
ticket
fans
plans.
that I saw who watched tonight and still plan to watch the rest of the season, but just didn't. They say they just didn't feel the same joy. You know, like they're still a Mavs fan. They're still going to watch, but the amount of passion and fervor that they put into this team, they feel may never be the same. Certainly for now is not the same, may not be the same for a long time. So it's like, it's just, you know, I saw that sentiment from a couple people on Twitter, like a couple longtime people I followed, like Mavs fans. And, you know, just the idea that it's like, yeah, okay, my identity is a Mavs fan. I'm going to stay a Mavs fan, but it's going to be I'm prioritizing in a different way than I used to, because this hurt me and I don't trust this franchise not to hurt me again. Because if you did it once, then like, what's to stop you from doing it again?
If you are canceling your ticket plan, reach out to Tim or me and let us know how it goes. We've been hearing some stuff. We don't know what's true or what's not.
Reach out to me.
I think we know what's true, but just reach out to us and let us know what happens.
If you're selling your season tickets, reach out to me. If you're letting them go for the low,
you buying the dip?
If you're letting them go for the low, let me get in on your get in on your stake. Let me get in on this. If you're fully out, at Mr. Fourth and Long, hit me up on Twitter. See what deal we can make for the rest of these tickets you got.
By the way, for those wondering, there still has been no injury update yet when it comes to Daniel Gafford in that left shoulder, for those who have been wondering about that. Let's continue with our super chats here. $4.99. Shout out from Sarah. This time last week, I was like, wow, Kyrie will be an all-star and Luka will be back on the floor next week.
Well, unfortunately, you're right about one of those things.
Both of them.
Kyrie didn't make the All-Star.
Kyrie didn't make the All-Star team, no. Big upset, no.
But we do have an all-star, though, on this team this year.
You're right.
That would be Anthony Davis.
Yep, Mavs legend Anthony Davis will be on the All-Star team.
He is on the All-Star team.
If he plays before then.
Get him a statue.
Billy back in with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Is it crazy to say the Mavs went from a top 10 future to arguably a bottom 5 future in one trade?
Depends on the time frame. I mean, what is it? 6 years from now, they start controlling all their picks again, which that's distant future. I think the next 3 years are going to be pretty good. It's just that in between that might be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. But even when you start controlling your picks again, it takes a while to.
It could.
From that would be Arturius Gregor with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. It's early, but will Luka ever come back to the Mavs?
I think it's safe to say from his comments and Nico's comments that not if Nico Harrison is the GM. Not reporting. I think that's a pretty straight, easy reading of the various comments made. But
I would be very, very, very surprised.
I think in general, I'd be pretty surprised.
LeBron went back to Cleveland. LeBron went back to Cleveland. So, and he watched LeBron's entirety of his career.
Maybe he'll announce the comeback on DLLS Mavs podcast.
Could you imagine if that?
I'm coming home.
Oh my! That multiverse. If Luka came back and said, "I'm coming home," the parades of joy around here.
The emergency pod that you guys would have to do.
It'd be the greatest show ever.
10 million views.
Probably. We appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. Sean B., you're right. Loyalty never fades away. And we appreciate your loyalty to this podcast, regardless of the circumstances. As the Mavericks fall 118-116 to the Philadelphia 76ers, we will have our regular show tomorrow, I believe at 1 p.m. We will have our regular DLLS Mavs podcast. RIC Jenkins 313. You want us to stay on longer? Super chat. With the $2 super chat, sent Luka from Whataburger.
I think some Whataburger
from Whataburger to In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Did him dirty.
We got In-N-Outs down here too, and
we are not debating. We're not getting into this debate right now. It'd go on too long. I'm just snuffing it out right now. I'm sorry, we can't do it.
I mean, In-N-Out's
both
not
of them are trash.
Oh, it's time to go for real before you get us canceled. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Unless they want to be a sponsor.
On the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Cut our future earnings.
We'll talk to
I
you tomorrow.
personally love
Appreciate you
both.
joining us here for Mr. Fourth and Long, Jesse Holly himself. That's our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Curl. That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. Also appreciate our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, for joining us, and our producer, Tanner, for making us look good, sound good, and put up with all my DMs with videos from tonight. Really appreciate you. Thank you. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1 p.m. here on DLLS Mavs. Y'all be good.
Eliminate the contingencies.
We all silly like the mayor.